right now on survival, there is also a compelling reason for future thinking, and particularly for young South Africans, many of whom are unemployed anyway. One organisation says it's imperative that the country starts planning an economic response to assist young South Africans. I want to tell you about an organisation called Youth Capital. It's a campaign to transform the employment trajectory of a generation with the aim, it says, of ensuring that every young South African has the requisite skills, support and opportunity to get their first decent job. Kristal Duncan-Williams from Youth Capital is with us this afternoon. So you're calling, Kristal, and good afternoon to you, for government to start planning an economic response to assist young South Africans, many of whom I've just mentioned are unemployed in a very vulnerable state. What, in your opinion, then needs to happen?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. So at Youth Capital, we have a plan of action that we devised at the end of last year. And that plan of action has become even more relevant in light of the COVID pandemic and the economic fallout. A lot of focus has been around business recovery, and a lot of focus in terms of youth unemployment has always been on big businesses because they historically have employed large numbers of young people. But with organizations like ENCA declaring bankruptcy and closing its doors in this time, we have to realize that we also have to look more at small businesses and the role that they can play in job creation. There are many existing incentives in government, the employment tax incentives, CETA funding, BBBE status, which gives some funding for employing young South Africans, and also the public works programs that all are in existence already. And at Youth Capital, we're saying we need to use these policies across the spectrum of business, from small to large corporates, to create job opportunities for young people. And it's going to be even more imperative after lockdown that we create those opportunities.
It's more imperative. I absolutely agree with you, particularly because of COVID-19. But the policies, the agencies that you've outlined to us, even before COVID hit us, were facing a myriad of difficulties. Often they weren't doing their job properly. They need to accelerate the process. How do they do that?
Absolutely. I mean, for example, we often hear from, I think a lot of small businesses just don't bother even applying for these funding mechanisms because the red tape is way too cumbersome. And so one of our calls to action is to reduce this red tape. For small businesses, make it easier for small businesses to apply for this funding. And then at an administrative level, these organizations need to operate more efficiently. We know there's been vast problems with CETA. There's lots of money that's been sitting in CETA funds that doesn't get used because businesses just struggle so much to access it. And so we're saying, instead of creating new policies, use the ones that exist, but actually make them work in practice.
It's also, and a quick answer, if you please, it's also a question of refocusing priority. As a result of COVID, companies are going to try and recover first and then start hiring. The setback I've read in terms of hiring could be between 12 and 18 months.
Absolutely. Young people were not on the agenda before, and they're going to be even further down the list as we go into this post-lockdown phase, whatever that may look like. And so we're saying, let's not forget about them. Let's use this opportunity to reimagine how things can be done. A lot of businesses have rethought how they run their business, and maybe the opportunities there for young people that didn't exist before. So we shouldn't lose sight of that in the broader economic recovery plan.
Kristal Duncan-Williams from Youth Capital, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I want to go to the